I'm 21 now, but this all started when I was 14. Back then, my life was already complicated enough. My mom had been raising me alone since I was little, and we didn't have much. Then she met Mark. At first, I thought he was great. He bought me a new phone, helped me with homework, and acted like he really wanted to be part of our lives. He even told me he always wanted a daughter. They got married fast, maybe too fast, but I was happy for her. For the first time, we had a stable home. For a while, things were good. He'd cook dinner, take us out to the movies, even tuck me in some nights like it was the most natural thing in the world. Then everything changed. One afternoon, I came home from school to find my mom in the kitchen, frozen, staring at an envelope in her hands. She didn't say anything at first, but I knew something was wrong. That night, she told me Mark had left. No warning, no fight, no bags packed in front of us. Just gone. The envelope? Divorce papers. And a note, "This isn't working. Please don't contact me." She didn't cry much. I think she was too angry for that. But me? I was devastated. I didn't just lose a stepdad, I lost a sense of security I didn't know I was clinging to so tightly. The thing is, Mark didn't just leave her. He left me, too. He didn't reach out. No birthday texts, no random calls to check in. And he blocked us both on everything. Just vanished. Like the last 3 years hadn't happened at all. I spent a long time wondering why. Was it something I did? Did I annoy him? Was I too much? Years passed. I graduated high school, got into a community college, and started building my own life. My mom moved on slowly, she dated here and there, but nothing serious. We didn't talk about Mark. He became like a ghost in our house. Unmentioned, but not forgotten. Then last week, 7 years after he walked out, he messaged me. I didn't even recognize the name at first. It was a random account with no profile photo. Just a message, "Hey. I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I need to talk to you. Please." That's when I clicked into the account and saw the email address attached. His old work email. I felt sick. It really was him. I didn't respond. Not right away. I showed it to my mom, but she just shook her head and said, "Do whatever you want." He made his choice. I should have blocked him. I know that. But I didn't. Because something in me wanted to know why. Why he left. Why he never said goodbye. Why he thought he could just come back now. So I replied. Just one word, why? What he sent back wasn't what I expected. And it changed everything. His reply came less than a minute later. Like he'd been waiting. Watching. He said he was sorry, over and over. That he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. That he never stopped thinking about me. Not even once. I didn't respond. I didn't even finish the message. I slammed my laptop shut and just sat there, shaking. The next day, I opened it again. Forced myself to read the whole thing. He said he left because he panicked. That he felt like he was playing a role, husband, father, provider, and one day realized he didn't know who he was anymore. He said he'd convinced himself that walking away was the least harmful thing he could do. That staying would have made things worse. I remember laughing when I read that part. Worse? He thought walking out on a 14-year-old girl with no warning was the better option? Then the message shifted. He told me he has a family now. A wife, 2 kids. A son who just turned 6, a daughter who's 3. He included pictures. That was the first gut punch. Seeing those smiling little faces. His new kids. The ones he stuck around for. He said his wife doesn't know about me. That when they met, he told her he'd never been married. No kids. Clean slate. And now he's scared. Terrified, actually. Because apparently, his wife found an old photo. One of me and him at my 8th grade graduation. He said she started asking questions. And he lied. Again. Said I was just a friend's kid. But now he thinks she's suspicious. That she might find out the truth. So here's the real reason he messaged me. He wants me to stay quiet. He said it exactly like this, "Please. Don't ruin what I've built. My kids, they need me. Don't take their dad away from them. He left me when I needed a dad. Now he wants me to protect his lie." I stared at that message for a long time. And I realized something. He didn't reach out to make amends. He didn't want closure. He wasn't sorry for what he did. He was just scared. But the part that really broke me? He said he still thought of me as his daughter. Not when he disappeared. Not when I turned 16 and never got a card. Not when I graduated high school or college. Not when my mom cried herself to sleep on her birthday. Only now. When his secret might come out. And suddenly, he remembers me? I haven't responded. But I think I might. Not with what he wants, though. It's been 3 days since he sent that message. I haven't replied, but I also haven't stopped thinking about it. I read his words over and over, trying to figure out how someone can live 2 completely separate lives without a shred of guilt. One with me and my mom, a life he discarded like a worn-out jacket, and another with his new family, built on lies. I started wondering about his wife, about those 2 kids in the photo. Do they think he's some devoted, honest man? Does his wife know he ran out on a child he claimed to love? Would she still trust him if she knew? And then I started wondering if I should be the one to tell her. That thought scared me. Because yeah, I'm angry. I'm furious. But more than that, I'm tired. Tired of carrying the weight of someone else's choices. Tired of pretending it didn't matter that he left. That it didn't leave a hole in me that never quite closed. I talked to my mom about it again. She was quiet for a long time. Then she told me something I didn't know. Right after he left, she tried to contact him multiple times. Not to beg, not to guilt him. Just to get some answers. One night, she even drove to his work after hours, just to see if his car was there. It was. She waited for 2 hours, but he never came out. He knew she was there. She found out later he was hiding in the building until she left. That crushed me. Because in all the years since, I kept wondering if he missed us. If maybe something happened, something beyond his control. I guess part of me wanted to believe he had a reason. But he didn't. He just didn't want us anymore. That same night, I dug through an old box I hadn't opened in years. It was full of photos, birthday cards, notes he'd written me when I was younger. There was one card in particular that gutted me. My 13th birthday. He wrote, "You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I'll always be here." And a year later, he was gone. I started typing a reply. Deleted it. Typed again. Deleted again. Because I wasn't sure what I wanted anymore. Revenge? Closure? Or just to be heard? Then, yesterday afternoon, something happened. I got a friend request from a woman I didn't recognize. Her name was Jessica. I almost ignored it until I saw her last name. His last name. And her profile picture? It was his wife. She had found me. My heart was pounding the second I saw her name. Jessica, his last name. I clicked her profile and scanned every inch of it. There he was as Mark, smiling in nearly every photo. Backyard barbecues, beach trips, Christmas pajamas with the kids. Happy. Present. Like the kind of man who never would have abandoned his family. I didn't accept her request right away. I wasn't even sure I would. Maybe she just found me by accident, a fluke. Or maybe he was already scrambling, trying to cover his tracks. Maybe this was his way of getting ahead of the story, getting her to reach out before I could. But then she messaged me. One line, "I think we need to talk. Please." I stared at it for what felt like forever. My hands were sweating. I didn't know if I was about to blow up someone's life, or my own. I clicked accept. Then waited. Her first message came fast. "I'm sorry to come out of nowhere. I found a photo. Of you and Mark. I asked him, and he said you were a friend's kid. But I knew he was lying. I found more. A letter. A card. I think he was married before. I think you might be his daughter." That last word. Daughter. It hit me harder than I expected. Because I was. For a few years, anyway. And now, this woman, his wife, was discovering I existed the same way I found out he was building a new life. Accidentally. Through scraps. I didn't know how to answer. I didn't want to lie, but I didn't want to explode someone's marriage either. Even if she deserved the truth, I still felt like I was walking into something that didn't belong to me anymore. But then she sent one more message. "I have 2 kids with this man. I need to know who he really is. Please." So I told her. I told her he married my mom when I was 10. That he helped raise me. That I called him dad. That he tucked me in, packed my school lunches, told me he loved me. And then one day, he left. No goodbye. No explanation. Just disappeared. I told her about the envelope. The blocked numbers. The years of silence. The birthday card I kept because I couldn't make myself throw it away. I didn't sugarcoat anything. She didn't reply for a long time. When she did, it was only this, "I think I'm going to be sick." And then she went offline. I sat there, staring at the screen, unsure what I'd just set in motion. Had I just torn apart a family? Had I done the right thing? But in my gut, something shifted. Not joy. Not revenge. Relief. Because finally, the lie wasn't mine to carry anymore. I didn't hear from her the rest of the night. And I didn't sleep much either. I just kept checking my phone like a reflex, expecting another message that never came. The silence was deafening. The next morning, I woke up to 5 missed calls. 4 from an unknown number. 1 from him. Then came the text. From Mark. What did you tell her? No greeting. No apology. Just panic. It made me sick. I didn't reply. He called again that afternoon, and this time I answered. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to hear how scared he sounded. Maybe I wanted to say something I didn't get to say at 14. He didn't even wait for me to speak. He just started rambling, accusing me of destroying his life, of ruining everything he'd built. He said his wife had taken the kids and left to stay with her sister. That she wouldn't answer his calls. That he was on the verge of losing everything. Everything. Like I was nothing. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just listened. He said I should have come to him first. That if I had, they could have figured something out. That now his kids might grow up without a father, just like I did. That's when I finally spoke. I told him, they still have a father. They just learned who he really is. He went quiet. Then he tried the guilt. Said I'd let my mom poison me against him. That I was holding on to things from the past that didn't matter anymore. That he'd changed. I almost laughed. Changed? No. He hadn't changed. He'd just gotten better at hiding. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. If she divorces me, I lose everything. The house, the kids, the money. Is that what you wanted? That right there, that was the real him. Not the man who made pancakes on Sunday mornings. Not the guy in the family Christmas photos. Just a man clinging to his comfort, terrified of consequences. I didn't answer his question. I just hung up. And I blocked his number. Again. Just like he did to me all those years ago. I thought that would be the end of it. That after blocking him, I'd feel lighter. Like I'd finally closed the door on a chapter one never chose to be in. But instead, everything got worse. Because 2 days later, I got an email. From Jessica. It was long. Rambling, but not in the way his messages had been. There was no anger in her words, just heartbreak. She thanked me for being honest. Said she'd spent the last 48 hours crying in her sister's guest room while their kids kept asking when Daddy was coming. She said Mark admitted everything. Told her he had been married before, that he helped raise me. That he left because it got too real. That he couldn't handle the responsibility. And then, apparently, he told her something else. That he'd tried to reconnect with me before. That I was the one who ignored him. That he'd written letters, emails, and that my mom had kept us apart. I felt physically sick. Because none of that was true. I never got a single letter. Not one message. Not a birthday card. Nothing. My mom would have told me. She always said that if he ever reached out, I'd have the right to decide for myself. So now, he was not only rewriting the past for himself, but feeding it to someone else, twisting it into a story where he was the victim. Jessica ended the email by saying she didn't know if she could forgive him. Not just for the lie, but for the years he'd spent hiding it. For creating a life with her while pretending his old one never existed. She said she felt like she'd married a stranger. But the part that hit me hardest? She said she looked at her kids differently now. Not in a cruel way, but in a sad, quiet one. Like she'd built this whole future on a foundation that wasn't even real. That broke me. Because I remembered being one of those kids. Sitting at the kitchen table with crayons, drawing pictures for a man who vanished before I ever got to give them to him. I spent years wondering if I'd done something wrong. And now these 2 kids, his new family, they'd have their own version of that confusion. That loss. And it wasn't their fault either. None of this was. He did this. He chose this. Now he had to live in it. After that email from Jessica, I didn't know what to feel anymore. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad. I just felt empty. Like I'd reached the bottom of a well I'd been falling into for years. I didn't respond to her right away. Not because I didn't want to. I just didn't know what to say that would make any of it better. I thought that would be the end of it again. But Mark had one more move. 3 nights later, I came home from class and found him sitting in his car, parked across the street from my apartment. I froze in the parking lot. It was like time folded in on itself. For a second, I was 14 again, waiting by the window after school, hoping to hear his keys in the door. Hoping he'd come back. And now here he was, 7 years later. Too late. He got out of the car slowly, holding something in his hand, a stack of letters, rubber-banded together. He didn't come close. Just stood on the curb. He said he wrote them all after he left but never sent them. That they were supposed to explain things. That he kept them because he always thought maybe someday. I didn't say a word. Just stared at him. Waiting. He started crying. Like really crying. Shaking. Voice breaking. He said he'd lost everything, his marriage, his home, his kids. That Jessica told him she needed space, that she couldn't trust him anymore. That his daughter, his real daughter, wanted nothing to do with him. I wanted to scream. To ask him where that energy was when my mom begged him to stay. When I cried myself to sleep for weeks, thinking I'd done something to make him disappear. But instead, I told him the truth. I said, "You didn't lose everything. You gave it away." He tried to hand me the letters, but I didn't move. I told him I didn't need his words. I needed him to mean something when I was a child. Not now, when it costs him everything. I told him to leave. And he did. He got back in his car, and for the second time in my life, I watched him drive away. But this time, I wasn't the one left behind. The next day, I woke up to a strange calm. It was quiet, not just outside, but inside me. Like I'd finally stopped holding my breath after years of waiting for something that was never coming. I went to class, grabbed coffee, and didn't check my phone once. For the first time in a long time, the absence of his name in my notifications felt like freedom, not rejection. That afternoon, I got another email from Jessica. She said she decided to separate from Mark. Not officially, not yet, but enough to make space. She and the kids were staying with her sister for now, and she'd already contacted a lawyer to figure out what her options were. Financial, legal, emotional, every kind. Then she wrote something that I haven't been able to stop thinking about. She said, "I thought I knew the man I married. But now I see I only ever knew the version he let me see. The one he carefully stitched together out of convenience and comfort. I'm sorry you had to carry the parts of him that he buried." That line nearly broke me. Because it was the first time someone other than my mom acknowledged the weight I'd been dragging around. Not just the abandonment, but the silence. The years of unanswered questions. The grief you're not allowed to call grief because no one died, he just left. Jessica said she was considering telling the kids about me. Not now. Not soon. But someday. She said they deserved the truth. That they should know they have a sister, if I was open to it. That part caught me off guard. Sister. I'd never really thought of it like that. I mean, I knew he had kids, obviously. I saw the photos. But up until then, they were just his. His new life. His fresh start. But now, Jessica was offering me something I didn't expect. Not reconciliation. Not forgiveness. But connection. And for the first time, I didn't feel like the secret. I felt like a person again. That night, I sat with the idea of being someone's sister. It was strange. I never had siblings growing up. It was just me and my mom against the world. Quiet mornings, secondhand school uniforms, whispered jokes during dinner. We were each other's everything. And I'd learned to be okay with that. But now, there were two kids out there, laughing in photos with the same man who used to kiss my forehead goodnight. They didn't know me. They didn't know what he did. They didn't know he once promised to teach me how to drive, then disappeared before I ever got my permit. Still, the thought of them knowing I existed, not as a mistake or a shadow, but as something real, that made my heart twist in a way I couldn't ignore. I called my mom. Told her everything. She was quiet at first. Then she asked the one question I hadn't even let myself think about. "Do you want to meet them?" And I didn't know how to answer. Because part of me did. Part of me wanted to look into the eyes of those two little kids and say, "You're not alone. You're not the only ones he let down. And maybe, just maybe, we can be more than what he gave us." But another part of me was terrified. What if they resented me? What if it confused them? What if I just ended up being another wound in a family already falling apart? Jessica emailed me again the next morning. She told me she wasn't going to force anything. She said whether or not I ever wanted to meet the kids, or her, the decision was mine. She just wanted me to know that the door would always be open. And then she said something that caught me off guard more than anything else so far. "I don't know what kind of man Mark really is. But I know what kind of woman you've become. And if my daughter grows up with even half your strength, I'll be proud." I didn't realize I was crying until I felt the tears hit my shirt. Because for years, I'd thought being forgotten made me weak. But maybe, it made me someone worth remembering. It's been a few weeks now. Mark hasn't contacted me again, not that I expected him to. Last I heard, he moved in with a friend while Jessica stayed with her sister. I haven't asked for updates. I don't need them. Because this isn't about him anymore. A few days ago, I got a card in the mail. No return address, but I knew who it was from the second I opened it. Inside was a photo, a hand-drawn picture. Crayon and construction paper. A stick figure girl with long hair holding hands with two smaller ones. Underneath, a wobbly caption in bright purple, "Me and my big sister." Jessica wrote a note on the back. I told them about you. Not everything. Just the truth that matters. You're kind, you're brave, and you were once very, very loved by someone who forgot how to show it. They wanted to send you this. No pressure. No expectations. Just love. I don't even have words for what that did to me. I sat on my bed, holding that picture, thinking about the girl I used to be, the one staring out the window every night, waiting for headlights that never came. She didn't get closure. She didn't get a goodbye. But I think she got something better. She got to grow up and tell the truth. She got to be seen. She got to matter. And maybe now, those two kids won't have to go through what I did. Maybe they'll get to see the cracks in the story before they get cut by them. Maybe I'll be someone who tells them it's okay to ask questions, okay to feel hurt, okay to not forgive right away. I'm not rushing anything. I'm not planning family vacations or bonding weekends. I still don't know if I'll ever fully be part of their lives. But I know I'll answer if they ever call. I'll show up. Because I know how much it hurts when someone doesn't. And I won't let his silence define my voice anymore. I'm not the secret. I'm the truth he tried to hide, and I'm still here.